The Shack is a fiction novel written by William P. Young. It began as a Christmas present for his kids and later became a USA Today bestseller. The story starts out with Mac and his three kids. They went on a camping trip, and the first scene of that camping trip, his oldest daughter and oldest son were out on a canoe, and the daughter decides to flip the kayak or canoe as a joke and almost drowns her brother, and Mac jumps in the water to save her. And while Mac was in the water, distracted from everything else, his youngest daughter was kidnapped and taken to the shack. After Mac and his oldest children realized that his youngest daughter was missing, they informed the police, and there was a search party out looking for his youngest daughter. After probably about 12 hours, he made it back to his house, and he told his wife, and they were both scared for his daughter, and his kids were scared too. They later found out that she was murdered, and after this, the whole family went in a very depressed stage, but mostly Mac, because he was responsible for her and he was supposed to be watching out for her. Because of his youngest daughter's death, Mac is in a very depressed stage and almost kills himself because of it. His family left. They were all very depressed, but he was obviously most depressed, and he was out shoveling his driveway when he finds a letter in his mailbox, and that letter says, "Mac, I haven't seen you in a while. You should come to," inviting him to come to the shack. And he asked his neighbors if they put that letter in there, seeing they were joking around with him, even though it wasn't funny, and the neighbors knew that wouldn't be funny and they would never do that. And he realized that there was no footprints in the snow around the mailbox. So he eventually finds himself going to the shack, and when he arrives at the shack, he sees the bloodstains of his daughter, and he sees nobody there, but when he's walking away, a man shows up and invites him to his house. And Mac knew this wasn't the killer. And so Mac follows this man to a house. And when he arrives at the house, he finds three people. They were all represented as three different pieces of God. So after Mac meets the three people representing God, he goes on, I guess you can call them adventures with each one of them. The first one was him walking on water. That was pretty cool. And he also got to see his daughter that was murdered and see that she was happy where she was, because that was something he couldn't stop thinking about, was her. And throughout the time he was at the house, he went through many good and bad times. He was told to forgive the people that did him wrong. For example, his dad abused him as a child, and he had to forgive his dad, and he forgave the killer, and most of all forgave God for letting his daughter die. Towards the end of his time at the house, he had a choice to stay with them or to go and talk to his family about what happened and forgive his family and apologize, because he's been so self-centered, not considering them and the pain that they've been in, just looking at his. And he chose to go back, and when he woke up in the hospital, he realized that he didn't even make it to the shack. He was in an accident and was in a coma the whole time. But he still believed that it was true, and so he told his family what happened, and he asked them all for forgiveness, and the family was finally in peace. Thank you for watching my craft course on The Shack, written by William P. Young. Have a good night.